Welcome back, YouTubers. Everything Otaku Related here with an anime review of the latest episode of Hunter x Hunter, episode 122. And boy was I excited when this episode came out, because from last week's preview, when we see Netero, the chairman of the Hunter community, versing the king, it just looked amazing. So for this episode to come out early, I was on it straight away, watched it, and now I'm just going to make a review about how amazing this episode was. Well, first off, it basically starts off with a preview of from last week, how we have Knuckle, saying that he can no longer fight because he has no reason to fight, seeing as his enemy showed him compassion and stuff like that. And that was all just that last week's stuff, which was just, nobody really cares about that. We really wanted to just get onto this week's episode because it looked just so action-packed. It looked amazing. Probably the best episode of Hunter x Hunter in about, I don't know, a year or so, because just we've all been waiting for this. If you read the manga especially, you've all been waiting for it. The Netero versus the king, and it was just insane. And it starts off a little bit controversial as well, how we have the king wanting to sort out his problems via diplomatic means. He wants to talk to Netero. He doesn't really want to fight him. He's basically like to Netero, I agreed to leave the mansion, but I never agreed to fight you. And Netero's like, well, fuck that shit. I want to punch on, And then so the king sits down, and even though it seemed a little bit like a dog move, Netero had his motives. He basically wants to save the human race, whereas the king only wants to spare a few of the human race, those who are worthy. So Netero's like, nah, if you're not going to spare them all, then I'm going to fight you. I'm going to have to fight you to kill you. So he unleashes this insane move. They're like it's basically like a Buddha with about 100 hands or something like that. I forgot what it was called. It's called the 100 type Guanyin Bodhisattva. I think I pronounced that right. Bodhisattva. Anyways, it just looks insane. Basically, it's like a golden statue of like a Buddha with about like 100 or so hands. And when Netero launches a left or right punch, basically the statue moves with him. And it's just insane. Basically, the king couldn't even see it coming. It moves at like the speed of light, if not faster. And the king was even surprised about how fast the attack was. Except even after Netero attacked, it had like no effect on the king whatsoever. It basically it just scratched him, and the king just like, what the fuck was this? You make me bleed my blood, I'll kill you. And Netero's like, well, this guy must be pretty strong. So he launches another attack, a pretty hard worthy attack, not one fist this time, but two fists, and he tries to smash him in between both of his hands, and the king just, he gets out quite easily. It's like, what are you trying to do? Is it a kid's game, or is this a fight? And the king is just obviously just too powerful for Netero at the moment. And then when Netero sees that, he's like, I'm obviously in my head, I'm about to die. So the king starts taunting Netero again, and he sits down and is like, I'm not going to tell you again, let's sit down and we're going to talk about this. I'm not going to fight you because you're too weak, I'll kill you, basically. And then Netero's like, if I can only convince you with words, how about I tell you what your name is? And then the king's like, this could be a little bit interesting, because as you all know, the king wants to know what his name is. So there, Netero's like to the king, if you fight me, if you make me admit defeat, then I'll tell you your name. And the king was like, I'd make you admit defeat, it's going to be easy. It's going to be like nothing, all I have to do is hit you once and that's it, KO. And basically that's where the anime ends, which is a little bit disappointing, because we finally get to see the king move once throughout the whole episode, and the anime just ends. He powers up with his dark aura, and then Netero powers up with his light aura, and they're about to go head to head when then the anime just ends. And then it shows you next week's preview, which looks pretty good, but nothing really to talk about, just basically about how Killua and the octopus, Killua was charging himself, and then he's gone back into the battle, and then how the octopus is still trapped underground, and he's about to fight off Welfin, I think his name is, and that's basically all the preview was for next week. So it didn't really look too exciting, but I was really excited about how this week's episode, how it came out early. I'll link There will be a link in the description below for where you can download this week's episode, and also a link for where you can stream it. Anyways, guys, that's this week's anime review for Hunter x Hunter episode 122. I hope you liked it. If you did like it, please hit that thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, subscribe. And if you have any comments or questions that you'd like to ask me, just leave that in the description below. And also, if you'd like me to discuss anything in general, just leave that in the comment section below. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.